All right, hello everyone. Welcome back to another edition of the Broom Brothers. Bit of a surprise edition, but when we found out that our guest was willing to speak to us, we said, hey, we're dropping everything. We're getting her on the show. So this is just a special interview-only episode of the Broom Brothers, and we are pleased to be joined by four-time Scotties champion and new member of Team Kate Cameron. Briane Harris is here. Hi, Briane.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Oh, thank you so much for doing this. I think this is your first podcast interview.
It is.
Ever?
Ever.
Oh my God. I was going to say in the last year, but I guess ever. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be nervous. Are you nervous?
Yeah. A little bit. But it'll be okay.
Oh, it'll be great. It'll be great. You're in safe hands. Well, we start very easily. We start every interview with the top four. So I'm just going to ask you four very quick questions, and you're going to give me the first answer that pops into your mind. Okay?
All right.
Okay, here we go. Who is someone that you have never played with before that you would like to?
Alina Pats, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Okay. If you know that both sets of rocks are good, there's no problems with either set, what color are you taking?
Red.
What is your favorite city to play in other than your hometown?
I don't think I have one. I just like good crowds. So usually Canada. Somewhere in Canada is always fun.
Okay. And how would your bitterest rival describe you?
Bitterest rival. So someone who doesn't like me.
Yeah. But bitterest rival usually means someone who doesn't like you. Yeah.
The cockroach that just won't die, I guess.
We tried to stomp her out, but she keeps coming back.
Yeah.
Okay, that might be the best answer we've ever got for that question. So I'm already feeling thrilled about your prospects as a future podcast interviewee, as a guest. You're already crushing it. Now, I feel like, as you said, this is your first podcast interview about this. I know you have given some print interviews about this, but let's, obviously, let's run through your last year. It's obviously been super crazy. Let's go back to the beginning of that. Can you kind of just give us, the listeners, me, the rundown at the Scotties last year? Because weirdly enough, you were at Scotties Media Day. I talked to you at Scotties Media Day, and then the next day you're not there, and shit has hit the fan. So can you kind of run us through all of that from your perspective? How did it all go down?
Yeah, so we were just doing our normal thing, and that evening, so it was a Thursday evening, I think, before we had pregame practice and all that, and I got an email, but it seemed kind of weird. It was like, press this button to open, and it just looked scammy. And it was from World Curling, but I was like, I don't know. It seems kind of weird. So I figured if it's serious, they'll probably email me again soon, whatever this is.
Right.
So and we were going to the Flames game that night too. So I was just like, okay, they'll email me again if it's something that I need to address. I forget what the title and everything even said. It wasn't alarming to me anyway. So I didn't open it. I didn't answer it. And so we went to the Flames game. Everything was normal. Had to wake up early the next morning because we had pre-event practice, I think at 8 or something. It was one of the first pre-event practices. And I was in the room with my husband and my son, who was like 8 months at the time, in the hotel room. And I got another email from World Curling. So I was like, okay, I'll look at this one because it's obviously something important. So I opened it up and I was like reading it, and I was just like, what? Because I thought it was a mistake.
Right.
Obviously, because I wasn't doping. So I looked through the whole thing and I'm like, it says I'm charged with doping. But I'm like, what? I was so confused. I was just like, what is happening? So I think I texted Reed Carruthers. I knew he'd be awake because all of us had to be awake at that time anyway. And it was like 6 something in the morning. And I went and met with him. And when I left, I had said, I'd read out loud what the substance was to my husband. And I guess it didn't click right then when I said it to him. But when I had left the room to go talk to Reed in his hotel room, he was thinking about it, and my husband was, and then he realized, like, that sounds really familiar. And then he looked up a supplement that he had bought like recently, and it was the same name, the same substance. And he was just like, oh my God. So then when I came back, he was like, I think you got it through me somehow. And he's like, I don't even take it anymore. I only took it for a month and a half or something. But I didn't even know what it was. Like, I didn't know it was a banned substance. Like, it was just something he could buy just off the internet. So he didn't think anything of it. And we've always been taught that you can only get a doping offense from something you ingest. You're in charge of what you take in, right? So he never thought anything of it. I never thought to ask him what he takes. I thought he just took supplements, whatever, like anybody else does. And I knew I didn't take anything. I don't even take any supplements, or that's why it's ironic that it happened to me, because I was so scared of it happening. I never took like protein powder. I would barely take like Advil and Tylenol. I wouldn't take anything. So that it happened to me, I was like, wow.
That's crazy. Yeah, because I know like they do sort of, they'll say like companies will say, oh, this is an approved, like a WADA approved or whatever substance, but usually they're made in a facility where other stuff that might not be approved is made, or like there's always a chance that you could get it from a supplement, right?
Yeah. So we had looked up, I think I just Googled Ligandrol, or however you say it, and the story about Vincent LePont came up, the canoeist.
Yeah.
And she had like a very similar situation where she didn't know how she got it. And her husband, or not her husband, her boyfriend at the time was taking it. She found out. And I was like, okay, well, this might have been how it happened to me. Like, I can't think of any other way. So then we kind of just ran with that. And thank God, because it was the way it happened.
Right.
But yeah, so then at the time, though, I was still figuring it all out in shock. And I was told I couldn't go to practice. And I was like, okay, that's fine. I'll get to play in the Scotties, though, because this is a mistake. Like, they're going to fix it. I was so naive at the time. Like, I just thought, oh, it's just going to get fixed. Like, I didn't do it. So why? Like, I'm like, oh, test me today. Test me every day. I said, test me every day forever. I don't care.
Right. Yeah.
And they're like, no, we can't do that. Like, what's done is done. And I was just like, what? And it seemed like every time I had a conversation with someone from Curling Canada, it was always worse news, like throughout the whole days of the Scotties. Like, it was, oh, you're going to miss the Scotties. Oh, that was devastating. And then, oh, you're actually going to be banned for potentially 4 years. And I was just like, what? 4 years? And I was just like, what is happening? Because, oh, it was just wild. And I didn't understand why they couldn't just test me again. But I guess like they already have the proof that you are doping.
Right.
So yeah, and then it just went into getting lawyers, figuring it all out, and it just took forever. Oh God, it was horrible.
Well, so let's go back a little bit. This is weird to me. Why was it an email? Like, wouldn't you think you'd get like a phone call or something?
I was wondering the same thing. I thought they would call me if I didn't answer that email immediately, or they would have called me first. That's also what I was thinking too at the time.
Yeah,
because it's kind of important, especially when the Scotties started literally that day. Like, we were playing that night, I think. Yeah, Friday night. So I've always wondered that too. I'm like, that's kind of something, like they should either be phoning Curling Canada if I'm not answering, phoning me, like phoning somebody.
Yeah, because I guess in theory, if you play that, like, let's say for whatever reason, maybe your son's sick or something, you're just not really checking your phone that day or whatever. If you played that first game of the Scotties, I would imagine Team Einarson would have been disqualified from the event, right?
Potentially. I guess the rule is if I get, I don't know. That's a hard one. Yeah. Like, if I played and I got any kind of time later on, they would get everything taken away from them. That's what I was told. So I couldn't play because whatever I played in, the potential was there that everything could get taken away after if I got charged later on.
Right.
So yeah, but if I played even one game, like, yeah, I don't know what would have happened. I don't know if they would have just taken them out of the tournament or they would have waited and seen what happened. Like, I don't know. I have no idea.
That's crazy. Yeah, that's so you get this initial email, and is the email kind of outlining everything? Like, it's saying, okay, you've tested positive for this, you can't talk to anybody, you can't practice. Like, is all of that in the email, or like what does the email even look like?
No. So the email, I think, just told me that I was on provisional suspension because I had this supplement in my system and they listed what it was. And that's pretty much all it said, if I remember right. I might not be remembering that wrong, but I know it definitely wasn't telling me what I could and couldn't do because I didn't know. And we were like scrambling to figure all that out in the next couple days.
So how did you end up figuring all of that out? Like, did that come from Curling Canada or from World Curling? Like, how did you end up finding out, you know, because we've heard, you know, you couldn't talk to your team, you couldn't practice, blah, blah, blah. When are you finding all that out?
I think it was from Curling Canada and World Curling and my lawyers from having done a case before or being aware of what you're allowed and what not allowed to do. But yeah, it was like a year ago, so I'm a little fuzzy on all the details.
Okay, yeah. Whatever you can remember is great.
Yeah, but I think it was a joint effort. Like everyone was just trying to figure out what I could do and what I couldn't do. And it was a learning process, like it's a lot because Curling Canada hadn't dealt with something like that before either. So they were figuring it all out at the same time too. And some things we thought I could do, I ended up not being allowed to do. So we were like, okay, stop doing that. And it was just such a mess.
Yeah, it sounds crazy. It sounds like it, to me anyway, as someone on the outside of it, it just feels like maybe not World Curling specifically, but there's been enough athlete doping cases over the years that they would just have a protocol that they would know and they would give to you. Like, it seems very odd that it was so nebulous.
I know. I wish there was, because then it would have been so clear. Like, you can't do this, like a list. And then I would be like, okay, I'm following that list because I don't want to get in any more trouble. Awesome. But it was always like, we think you can't do this, so don't do that just in case. Or, oh, we know you can't do this. It was never like a straight up list that I could follow. So that made it hard too. Because sometimes I was like, well, this doesn't make sense. But then I just do it because I didn't want to make anything worse. But
yeah, of course. At what point did you kind of know? Because you said, I just thought, you know, they'll figure out this is wrong and I'll just be back in the Scotties, no problem. Like, at what point did you kind of know, all right, the Scotties dream is dead at this point? Was it quickly, or did he kind of stay in Calgary for most of that week? What did that look like?
I got told I couldn't play in the Scotties. I think it was that Friday.
Okay.
Maybe later in the day, but sometime I think on that Friday. And if it wasn't that Friday, it would have been in the morning on Saturday. Like, it was pretty soon. And then I had stayed because I felt weird leaving. It was kind of hard to leave because it just kind of made it like more real, I guess. And also I felt weird leaving because my team, like a lot of them at the time, a lot of them depended on me to like vent and just be someone to talk to. So I felt weird just leaving them high and dry and just going and just being like, oh, I'm going to leave and you guys are on your own. So I stayed also to like try to support as much as I could when I was going through absolute turmoil. I tried to support as much as I could in the time. But yeah, I ended up leaving, I think, on the last day they played. But I was going to leave that day anyway. I didn't know that they would lose that game, but I think it was like the Saturday or something. But I ended up driving home with my parents that day and my husband and son.
So you stayed for the full week of the Scotties, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was hard, but I did. Yeah, I stayed.
And so at that time, were you talking to the team? Like, you didn't know that because you're talking about, you know, you were a leader on the team and all that. Were you talking to the team, or was it just a case of, oh, they tell me I maybe can or can't? Like, is that why you were still kind of sticking around?
At the time, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to like converse with them or be around them until later in the week. That's also why I decided to leave on the Saturday. I think that's when I kind of found out that I wasn't allowed to do that. So I was like, okay, then I better go because I don't want to get in trouble, like I said. So, but yeah, during the week, I did not know that. So I was just kind of like talking to the girls one-on-one sometimes when they wanted to come visit me and just talk about stuff. But yeah, other than that, yeah, I didn't know I wasn't allowed to do that.
No, well, that's totally fair. Totally fair. I mean, because to me, that always felt like, as someone on the outside who was obviously very aware of this situation. I was at the Scotties the whole week because I live in Calgary and I was working for Curling Canada, and it was obviously big news. That always seemed like the hardest part of it to me, that, we know how curling teams are. They're often, most of your teammates are your best friends, or, and you see them more than your family a lot of times and talk to them more. That always seemed like the hardest part of it to me, both from just like a mental perspective, but also from a practical perspective. Like, oh, you're just telling me I can't talk to my best friends now? Like, how did you navigate that? That must have been really hard.
Yeah, it was weird. And I never really understood it. Like, I got not being allowed to practice with them, obviously. But just like talking to them or conversing any way, it was kind of weird not to be able to. I was kind of told that like I just couldn't be involved in team related things. Like I couldn't be going to team meetings when we're doing Zoom team meetings, or going in person to team meetings, or talking about curling with them, which I was like, okay, that's fine. So I was told that I can probably still be friends with them and talk to them every once in a while, because that's like, they can't stop you from exactly being friends with people and talking to them about life stuff and whatever. So like I did that from time to time, but no team related stuff. Cause again, I was like so scared to get in trouble for anything. I was just sticking to whatever I was told, I was sticking to it.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense. That part of it always seems so crazy to me. I mean, truly, even the not being able to practice on your own part, that also felt a little bit maybe over the top to me. Like, what's the thought process behind that? Like, why would they prevent you from practicing? And also, how could they find out? If if you went to the Fort Rouge at 1 a.m. and you threw by yourself, like, is WADA gonna be watching with binoculars in the shadows or whatever? Like, that always seems strange to me too.
Oh, I know. And I thought about it at the end too. I'm like, do I just go and practice? But then I'm like, watch, someone will be there with their phone and be like, oh, I got her. Like, so I was always worried about that. But yeah, that was a weird rule too that I questioned a lot during the whole process, because I just didn't understand. It was because I guess curling ice is always in a building that's associated with Curling Canada. Most of the clubs are. So I wasn't allowed to practice in any club that's associated with them, which is almost all of them, I guess. And yeah, I I still don't know why I wasn't allowed to practice by myself, other than that, which is weird, because so many other sports like that you can do outdoors, or like they can just go skiing wherever, or they could swim in a pool if they're a swimmer. Like, just because curling's in a building seemed weird that I would be punished that way to not be allowed to practice at all, even by myself. But
yeah, that's a good point. Like, if you have a backyard pool, they can't tell you not to use your backyard pool if you're an Olympic swimmer, right?
Exactly. That's why I was like, it just doesn't make sense, but okay, I'll follow it.
You needed to find that off the grid curling club, the like one sheeter in the middle of the woods that no one really knows about. So obviously this happens, and then you retain legal counsel pretty quickly. Not shortly after that, but how soon after you started talking to legal counsel, figuring out what was going on, did you feel confident that you would end up getting the right result? Like, did they sort of make you feel good right away, or was it always a little bit in limbo?
At the beginning, it was a little bit in limbo, I think, because they were still learning about me and like if I was telling the truth or not, probably, to be honest.
Sure, yeah.
But as I got all the evidence that they knew I needed to get, and it was all coming through and clearing, and it was all the way we wanted it to end up, then by the end, they were telling me, yeah, like, this is some of the most evidence we've ever had in a case like this, like good evidence. So they were pretty hopeful. So it made me hopeful, but I also had in the back of my mind that it's like anything but 0 was not great for me. Like, if I got even 1 day of a suspension, I would have never been eligible for funding ever again. So that was weighing on me. And just not being cleared, like, makes people think I did it still. And even being cleared, people still think I did it. So like, you can't, please everyone. But yeah, it I guess most of the time I was hopeful because I knew I didn't do it and I was hoping it would just work out. But always in the back of my mind, I was like, oh, what if it doesn't go our way? Because it does end up just being up to one person. In my case, it was one arbitrator who makes the decision based on the evidence. It's whatever he feels at that time, from what he saw. So it's his opinion. So it could have gone either way, really. Even with all the evidence, you never know what they're going to decide at the end.
Yeah, I guess I didn't know about the funding rule. So if you didn't get completely cleared, what were there other factors in that too? Like you could never get funding, but you could still compete in, say, the Scotties and win the Scotties and stuff like that?
Yeah, I could still compete. Depending, like if I was given, let's say 6 months, I wouldn't obviously be able to play for 6 months, which I exceeded anyways with waiting forever. But
yes, time served.
Yeah, but I wouldn't be able to play until that was up, and then I could play. And if, sorry, I have baby brain sometimes. I'm like, what am I talking about? Okay. And oh wait, what was your question again? It's so bad lately, the last month. Oh God.
Oh, that happens. Yeah. Well, yeah, you're what, 7 months now?
8, I guess. I think it's coming in like 5 weeks or earlier, maybe. Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's totally understandable. My question was just about what were some of the other things you maybe, or were there other things that you stood to lose if they even gave you a 1-day suspension or a 6-month suspension? Like you said, you would lose funding. Was there other stuff you would lose, or was that kind of the main? And is that just coming from Sport Canada? Like they won't fund someone who was previously suspended?
I'm not sure if it must be a Sport Canada rule, but I don't know that for sure. But yeah, that was the main one that I knew about. No funding so if my team ever had funding, I just wouldn't be allowed to have like the personal funding, I guess. I don't know how it would work for the team funding aspect. I would have had to ask about that, but thank God I don't have to now. But, but that was the main thing. And then just being suspended longer potentially. Like I think I was eligible at the end to be suspended up to 18 months or 15 months, something like that. That was the last offer they gave me, to try and not go to trial or court or whatever it's called. So I could get that at the most, or anything less. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. So it's kind of like the real court. They're like, we don't want to go to trial with you. We'll give you a plea deal. And you're
It was so weird.
That is really weird. Okay, well, look, it could have been 4 years. We'll give you 15 months. You're like, but I didn't do it.
Yeah. It kind of went like from 4 years. So then they tried to get me to take 3, and then they tried to get me to take 2, and then 18 months, and then 15 months, something like that. It just kept going down.
So obviously they knew you were mounting the great evidence in the background.
Yeah.
So you go through, this is mostly happening in the summer, and I'm sure you would have hoped it would have been resolved by the curling season, but it wasn't. So we know you can't talk to your teammates, but are you still, or sorry, at least about curling, but are you still staying engaged in the curling world when the season starts back up in September, or were you feeling like it was just too difficult to be considering at that time?
I had my moments back and forth. I obviously didn't watch as much curling as I normally would probably, but I still watched more than I thought I was going to, considering the circumstances. It was really hard to watch because it was like a reality check every time an event would be on that I wasn't there again. So my husband said I'd be really mean that week, which probably was.
Is there a slam on this week, babe? Because I feel like
I know he'd be like on edge. Oh no, here we go again. But I would try to watch, because then just keeping my curling brain going with strategy and everything and trying to see what's going on. I feel so out of it right now still, even like not knowing what's happening, even this new Broomgate thing that's going on, or like just stuff that's been happening since I've been gone. I'm sure lots of little things have been talked about that I just don't know about. So I'm excited to learn about all that when I finally get to play again. But it was just difficult, but I tried to make myself do it just to stay in the know.
Totally.
Yeah.
was there ever a time when you thought maybe curling was over? And not even if, like, let's even say the result still comes the same, that it's a no fault, zero punishment, whatever. Was there ever a thought of just, you know what, maybe I'm done with this?
I want to say no. Like, I was always like, no, don't let this beat you. Don't let this make you want to quit just because something crappy happened you couldn't control. But on my down days, sometimes I would be like, what am I even going back to? Like, it was hard. Just, yeah, I know a lot of people don't know what to say. But like a lot of people didn't reach out, which at the same time, like, I get it. They don't know if they want to say the wrong thing, or they don't know if they're bugging me or whatever. So like that part was really hard. That made me question things sometimes. I'm like, I'm going back and not very many people anyways, reached out, and it would be weird to like be around those people again, or like, yeah, stuff like that would sometimes cross my mind. But then at the same time, I know I love curling, and I wanted to go back so bad. And I was doing all of that to, like, during the court case, to be back. So I'm like, well, this would all be for nothing, and all this effort if I didn't play. And I'm not like super old. Yeah, I'm 33 now, but
No, you're in your prime.
Yeah, it would have really sucked if it happened later, like when I was 36 or 38 or something. Then I might have questioned it a little bit more. But yeah, I just felt like I still have so much left in me, and I didn't want to let this get me down and squash me. Like, there's so many other things I've dealt with in my past that didn't stop me from playing. So I just didn't want this to be another thing. Just keep going, keep trying.
Yeah. Well, I feel like now that more of the details are coming out about everything, like, I'd like to think that people who maybe didn't reach out, or, you know, were concerned about reaching out, will either do that, or you'll just see them again on tour next year, and it'll go back to normal, I think. Or I'd like to think.
Yeah, I hope so too. Like, yeah, the unknown, like not knowing how it's going to feel or how it's going to be, I guess that kind of makes me question things sometimes. I'm a little nervous to be back in that atmosphere, even like going on the ice. Sometimes I wonder if I'm going to get like booed by some people. But like that, whatever, I'll be like, well, what can you do? But like little things like that would cross my mind too about going back.
You'll become the female Brad Jacobs who like thrives on getting booed. That'll be your new thing.
Yeah, I know it wouldn't bother me, but at the same time, I'd be like, well, that kind of sucks. Or something I can't control. But yeah, I don't know. Like, it's going to be weird going back, being around people I haven't seen. Like, even seeing your face is weird. I feel like I haven't seen so many people in a year plus. Yeah. So it'll be, but I'm excited to be back in there.
Oh, I mean, we're excited to have you back. I think it's a great thing, and obviously the right result was reached. Talk about the day you found out that you won. What was that feeling like?
That was wild. Yeah, I think so. My lawyers always kind of talked to me a lot, and they usually did a lot of their chatting with me early in the morning. I guess that's when they take care of a lot of their correspondence stuff. So I'd wake up a lot of the time to a bunch of text messages, and they're in Toronto area. So they'd be sending me messages at like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. sometimes. So it wasn't weird for me to get a bunch in the morning. So I saw them and I was like, oh, okay, whatever. I didn't really read how many there were. I just went about getting ready. And then I went back to my phone and I saw I had like 6 missed messages and a missed call from one of my lawyers. And I was like, oh, something's going on. So I went and looked at it all, and they're like, oh, congrats, Briane, blah, blah, blah. And they showed me the arbitral award, I think it's called, like the official paperwork. And I was just like, whoa. It was just like, it's hard to explain. Like, it had been so long, and just to have it over was so overwhelming emotionally. And I hadn't cried yet when I was like shaking because I was so excited. I didn't start crying until I had called my mom and my dad and my husband. Then I was crying. I'm talking about it like, whoa. My mom's crying at work too. And we're like, oh man, I felt bad. I should have waited till later, but I'm sure she would have waited right away.
You can never win with moms, right? It's either you make them cry at work or you call them after work and they're mad you didn't call them at work.
Exactly. So she's probably happy I called her anyway.
I'm sure she was. Yeah, I can only imagine what that felt like. I think that feeling of vindication would feel so good. But then also, as you said, just you can get back to doing the thing you love. Like your mind must have just been going a million miles a minute.
Oh yeah, like I was texting Dale a lot out here. So Colton's dad does the ice for Petersfield Curling Club. So I was texting him like, "Hey, can I get on the ice today? Can I get on the ice like every day?" Pretty much. And he was awesome, and he got me on that same day, so that was great. And pretty much every day after for like a week straight. Yeah, I was just ready to go, and luckily I had been working out the whole entire time too, because I just wanted to be ready at any time to be able to play again. So I felt really good, and I was starting to get in my own head about how that first practice was going to feel, and if I was going to feel like, whoa, like off, because I was pregnant also, so that was weighing on me. But it actually was way easier than I thought. It was like riding a bike, honestly. Like the first couple of slides were a little bit getting used to it, but after that it felt very natural, and I was super pumped. I was like, oh yeah, I'm actually ready. Like I feel good. And after the 7 days straight of practicing, I was like, oh, I can do it. Like I feel good about this. And I was so excited. I just wanted to play so bad.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's get into maybe another hard conversation here, because obviously, the ban gets lifted. Were you just figuring that you'd be back on Team Einarson immediately? Had it crossed your mind that maybe you wouldn't be? Describe that initial kind of, okay, I'm back, I've thrown rocks for a few days. I assume one of your first texts or calls was to the team. Mm-hmm. What did that look like?
Yeah, I had texted them when I heard the news too. I did a group chat and just said, hey, I sent the PDF of the actual paperwork, and I was like, oh, I got off, whatever. I forget what I said, but I told them all right away too. And then, yeah, I thought I would be back in. Like, I obviously wanted to play, and I knew I could. And I'd played pregnant before, so it wasn't like an unknown for me. I knew I was able to do it. And I had felt so good from the practices too. I was like, oh yeah, I feel really good. Like I'm able to play if they want me to. So I voiced that. But I'd also voice like, oh, if you guys don't feel comfortable with me playing for whatever reason, I'm also open to being alternate. Like I just wanted to be a part of the team again. I just wanted to be in curling again, doing it again. So I was open to whatever option that was there for me. Obviously wanting to play first and foremost. I'm competitive. Like it would be crazy for me not to want to play. But yeah, I was open to all options of being on the team in any capacity pretty much.
And so how quickly was it that you found out that maybe you would not be on the team in any capacity?
So that week we found out like right at the beginning of that slam. It was the Tuesday.
Okay. Yeah. That's the Guelph slam you're talking about. So we're talking about like, it's probably January 12th ish, somewhere around there.
I think it was the 13th or something like that. Very close.
Yeah.
So when I told them, like, if they would have said, hey, come out here, we'll fly you out here and you can be our fifth for the week, I would have been like, sure, I'll be there. I was down for anything. It never came up, but at the same time, I was like, oh, I'm fine with staying home because I know I can practice every day. Like if I went out there, I would have had to figure that out. And so I was totally understanding with staying home and it being like right when it started too. When I got the news. So I was good with staying home, practicing every day, getting ready. So I kind of just voiced that like, oh, I'm going to be practicing every time I can. And I just hope we can talk about, because I guess the Scotties was the next event. So I said we could talk about what we're going to do for the Scotties when you guys get back. Because they told me they wanted to just focus on the event that week. And then so I said, yeah, okay, well, let's just talk about when you guys get back. And so I thought that would be a discussion, and yeah, that's kind of where I left it at that point.
And then they get back, and when do you find out that they actually don't want you for the Scotties?
It was a team meeting that week. I can't remember which day it was.
Oh, that's okay. We don't need the record to show whether it was Tuesday, Wednesday,
or the time.
Yeah. Yeah. What? You don't remember the time and exact date of the meeting? This interview's over.
It's gonna. Might as well just pull the plug now. I can't remember what day it was, but I know that I went into the meeting thinking it was the discussion meeting. Like I thought we were going to talk about it as a team. And when I remember even saying when it started, like, oh, good, everyone's here, because I wanted it to be like a full, everyone give their opinions and we figure it out kind of thing. But it kind of turned into more of just them telling me what they'd already decided, which was I was not going.
Right. And was that also including a discussion like you're not going to the Scotties and you're also not on the team anymore?
No, it was just the Scotties. They were telling me that I was on the team still, but obviously I was like, this is kind of weird.
Right. You felt like the writing was on the wall potentially for that too. Maybe from your side also, like maybe you were thinking, well, if you're not going to take me to the Scotties, then screw you. I'm out.
No, like obviously I was upset because I wanted to play like anyone would be wanting to in my position. I think I don't think anyone would have felt different than me wanting to play. But yeah, they assured me I was still on the team. But yeah, just like the actions and some things that I was being told and that weren't adding up, I was starting to get a little suspicious about what was going on. So yeah, even during that week when they were out there in Guelph, I had phoned Carrie and just been like, hey, what's going on? Like, it just feels weird. Like you guys aren't really talking to me. Like, I didn't know what was going on. So yeah, when the decision became final later on, or whenever that was too, I kind of saw it coming already. I don't know why, and I never probably will, but yeah, that's kind of how it went.
So it felt to you like maybe the decision had been made even before your ban was lifted, that if it got lifted, you probably weren't going to be back on the team.
I don't know, like certain things were being said to me like a month prior to being cleared that was different than what was being said to me after. Like, so I didn't really know what was going on. I was being told one thing, but then I was being told another thing, a month only difference. So yeah, I was kind of just confused. It all just felt kind of weird. Like I could tell something was going on.
Right. So maybe it was what changed then, just the fact that they had maybe made a commitment to Carly that you were not privy to, but because it seemed like at some point Carrie decided, I don't want to have a different curler for every event, right? Because in Charlottetown they have Dawn, and then they have Brittany, and then they have Joanne. Like, did it seem like maybe that was it, that she had kind of made this decision, well, we can't wait on Briane anymore, and if we want to get Carly, we have to make some kind of commitment to her? Do you think that's maybe what changed?
Maybe. But the whole spare thing wasn't even my doing either. Like I always had my spare in.
True. That was more Shannon, I guess. Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
But yeah, I wasn't expecting her to not play anymore, because I knew she was filling in for Shannon.
Right.
And that was already decided for Shannon. So I was more told like throughout the process that whenever I was cleared, my spot would be there for me.
Right. And Kristen would go back to alternate, presumably.
Yes. So that's kind of what I was thinking was going to happen, because I'd been told that. So I obviously was going to think that.
Sure.
But yeah, so when it didn't go that way, that's when I was a little shocked, because I was like, oh, because yeah, that's what I mean by like things were told to me one thing and then it was like a different way when it actually happened.
Yeah. That is very interesting. I think, the fans have kind of felt like, at least from what I've seen online and everything, that it did feel a little strange that your spot wasn't there for you anymore.
Yeah. And I was also shocked too. Because yeah, I didn't see it coming. Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to talk about that stuff. I don't want to be like But yeah, I just, because I'd been told that it was going to be there for me. I was hoping it would be there for me. I thought it was going to be there, and I even voiced that I would be fine with being alternate if they didn't. Like I was hoping too that they would at least see me practice with them and then make their choice. That was something I was hoping for. Just so then at least I could know, like, oh, they just didn't see it like I'm seeing it. Like maybe I'm seeing it through rose-colored glasses because I'm just so excited to play. And if they would have been like, oh no, you're not quite where we want you to be, like you can be alternate, or then I would have been like, oh yeah, sure, that makes sense. I just wanted to be a part of the team, so I was okay with whatever they ended up deciding. But me not being a part of the lineup at all wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't in the bingo card for me.
Yeah, totally. So at what point do you find out? So you said you have this like about 3 weeks or a month before the Scotties. You know you're not playing in the Scotties, but you said you're still on the team as far as you know at that point.
Yeah.
Then when does it become, I know that I'm no longer on the team?
Like how much in detail do I get? I'm like trying not to. It's so hard because I want to be honest, but I also don't want to be like a whiny bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean it's
like
you can answer it however you want to answer it.
Yeah, like yeah, it happened how it happened. Like, well, since I heard my news, I would say, or even a little bit earlier than that, I hadn't been hearing from anyone really. And when I heard my news, I still wasn't really hearing from them. So that's why I'd called Carrie. I'm like, oh, like I got super awesome news. No one's really talking to me, like kind of weird. So that's why I'd called her. And then since then too, like them telling me I wasn't going to the Scotties, I was obviously upset when they told me. But I didn't make like a scene or anything when they told me. I just said, oh, I don't really understand. I don't agree with it. But okay, like it is what it is kind of thing. And then they didn't really talk to me for that whole month. And so they weren't really talking to me much. So I started feeling like something's going on here. Like, I don't think I'm on the team anymore. That was my gut feeling. So then I had reached out to them and been like, okay, you guys need to tell me if I'm on the team or not, like this week, because I wasn't going to keep waiting. I was worried they were going to wait until the end of the season for them. So after the players, and I didn't want to be out of talks for getting on a new team. Like I obviously want to play so bad. So I just wanted to be on a team. And if it was going to drag out, it was going to be not good for me. So just seeing the writing on the wall, I was like, hey, let me know what's going on. Let's have a team meeting. You guys tell me what's happening. And then that's when they told me. But I'm happy I pushed that meeting because I feel like it was going that way anyway. And then I was able to get on the team I'm on now, which I'm super excited to be on. Considering the circumstances of it being before an Olympic trials year and the end of a quad, I was really nervous that I wasn't going to get on a team that I either wanted to be on or I wasn't going to get on a team at all. So when Kate reached out, I was super pumped and I was like, oh, good. Like not just a good team, but like a contending team. And so, yeah, I'm happy that I pushed it, even if it didn't end up how I wanted it to. And I got kicked off the team because of it or whatever. But at least it put me in position to be on the team I'm on now and a contending team that I see a lot of potential in.
Well, it turns out too, you know, now that we kind of know which teams are going to be on the trials or like going to be in the trials rather, I think you got the only available spot. I think of the 7 teams that are in the trials, nobody's going to be making changes. Yeah. So, you know, you literally got the one free spot of a team that's already going to be in the trials. So I do think that is exciting. And I wanted to ask you, we can move into happier times now, but, you know, how did the whole thing with Kate come together? You kind of indicated she reached out to you. How did she know that maybe you, or was she just guessing maybe you were available? Like, what did those conversations look like?
Yeah, I guess she'd heard that I was available. And I've known Kate forever. Like we're a year apart. We went to the same high school. So yeah, so it's been, and our parents know each other really well from when they were kids. So I've always known her and known her decently well this whole our whole lives pretty much. So yeah, I guess she had heard or maybe suspected that I was not on the team. I mean, it kind of looked that way, I think, from people looking in.
Definitely. Yep. I would say that, at least from my perspective, that's what it looked like, for sure. Yep.
All the little things kind of added up to what I figured out on my own too. So yeah, she'd reached out and I was like, oh, like that actually sounds pretty good. And we talked a little bit about like, oh, what kind of team they are and all that. And she could have said anything and I would have probably been in. I was like, this is my best option. So I was really excited, and they all seem like such great girls. And I don't know Taylor and Mackenzie that well because I haven't played with them before, or been around them as much as I've been around Kate. But just from even the feeling I get in texting them in group chats and stuff, like they have a great sense of humor. They're super, what's the word? They're super positive. I don't know, they just have a great energy about them. So it's really exciting, and it makes me even more excited to play with them.
Okay, now Briane, I want to do like a little exclusive here on Broom Brothers, because I mentioned at the top of this interview, I was there at Scotties Media Day last year, and I was doing a segment called Leads Need Love Too. And
how did I know you were going to bring this up?
I spoke to you, and obviously we set about to edit the video. You were going to be in the video. Then the news dropped about your suspension. I thought, okay, this is maybe not the right time to release this. But now, in April of 2025, I never thought we could use this video. But I want to play a quick clip from this video for our listeners, because I think, I have a question I want to ask you about it after I play it. So, Stephen, if you could please roll the tape.
Briane, what's the best part about being a lead?
There's so many things to choose from.
I know. It's a great position.
Yeah, probably throwing the same shot over and over again all game. That's really fun.
It rules. I love it. You don't like that. It sounds like you don't like it.
It's good. You get your weight. Yeah.
Okay, what's the worst part about being a lead? Seems like you're maybe more excited to answer this question.
The worst part about being?
Yeah.
Throwing the same thing over and over again.
And we don't always see it. You have to be in the little small box when you're doing the same shot over and over again.
Oh, yes. And no TV time either. My parents don't like that.
They don't like that at all. Maybe it sounds like you're ready for a career change.
Maybe later, but...
Yeah.
Okay.
Weird.
So are you excited to play back end and not throw the same shots over and over again?
Yeah. I am. Like, it's funny. That came out a lot like more. I didn't know I was so blunt.
I know. I was like, well, I had never really met you before. Yeah. And so I think I was doing something with Shannon before and you were there. And I was like, okay, I'll get Briane for this segment, even though I don't know her super well. And then you were like, so like, I don't even really like being lead. And I was like, okay, well, that was fun. Nice to meet you, Briane. Bye.
I like the role on the team. Because, like, yeah, to build a good team, you have to fit where you fit, right? So I was good with that. But, yeah, I guess it had been, 6 years at that point. So I was getting a little bit stir crazy just because, yeah. It's a great position. Like, I watched Sarah's podcast with you from the previous.
Yeah.
She nailed it. Like, it's not easy. It's not an easy position by any means. And there's lots of things about it that people don't realize, and like breaking the path for everyone, throwing it way harder than everyone else has to, and then getting to watch them just throw 14-8s and you're throwing 14s. And there's a lot of little things about it that are definitely hard, and being more of a supportive role rather than the shots that you make determining the results of the game. Like, you can lose a game, but you can't win it. Like, there's so many things about it that are different. And I appreciate the time with it, because I feel like I've become a better drawer with having that repetition. But yeah, I've always had an itch to play back end. It's just where I've always played before being on my previous team. I love all the dynamics of it, of having a little bit of yourself in everything, the line calling, the sweeping, and then your shots being a little bit more, having a little more weight to them, and how the end ends up and all that. So yeah, I'm excited to play third. I'm a little nervous because it's been a while, but they seem to be excited about me playing third, my new team, and they have more belief in me than even I do sometimes. So I'm excited, but yeah, nothing against Leeds because
I wasn't playing that because I wanted to sewer you with all me and my fellow Leeds. That was not the point. I think the point was more just, I guess my question was really going to be, was this kind of always your plan after this quad? You know, I think it would have been 8 years with Team Einarson. Probably that was going to bring about a change anyway. Was that kind of in the back of your mind that, you know, we'll have run our course, we've won X number of Scotties, 4, maybe it would have been a couple more, maybe Olympics, who knows? But was that always kind of in the back of your mind? Like, I will at some point get back to playing back end?
Yeah, I was hoping so. Like, I would have been happy to play any position I was needed on a team that was doing well and had a lot of potential. Whether that be lead, second, third, whatever, skip, even if I had to. But yeah, I've always loved third. It's definitely my favorite position. And so I'm excited to play it again. But I like that now I can say I've played every position because I think it gives you a lot of perspective from people's, like, you know, when you're a sweeper all the time, what you need to hear from the back end when they're in the house and vice versa. Just those little things that you don't learn unless you get a little bit more positions under your belt sometimes. So yeah, I'm happy that I got the time I did at lead. And I think you're right that our team probably would have maybe made a little bit of a change anyway. Like my previous team, it kind of seemed like it was going that way at the end anyways. And I was worried that I would not be looked at as a back end player or anything other than lead. So kind of this whole thing happening is almost like a blessing in disguise, I think. And sometimes, like, I don't know how it's going to play out. Like, maybe I'll be the worst third in the whole entire world. Like, we don't know.
I doubt it.
We don't know. But I don't think without this happening, I don't know if I ever would have been able to play back end again. Maybe when I was older, but definitely not soon. So yeah, maybe this is my chance to get to step in there and see what happens. And hopefully I do well. And if I don't, then I guess I'll go back to lead.
That's how it went for me. But I was younger. I was a lot younger than you. I figured out pretty early that I wasn't going to be good enough to play anything other than lead. So at least you have that going for you. Just a couple more before we go. Curious if you've even thought about this, but I'm guessing given how competitive you are, you probably have. How do you think it's going to feel in that first game back against Team Einarson?
I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see how this new team fares against teams like that, the better teams, and if we can hold our own. And it's so unknown right now because we haven't even played a game together. We haven't practiced together, so I don't know what it's going to be like. But it'll be weird, but also I'll be looking forward to it too. It'll be fun.
Nice. And final question. Now, I mean, you know, you've had some time to reflect. The positive ruling came down about 3 months ago. Throughout this whole thing, what did you learn about yourself, both from an athletic perspective, but even just from a personal perspective? What did you learn through all this?
I guess that I have even more mental toughness than I thought. I've always kind of prided myself on having good mental toughness, but this was like a whole nother ballgame that I wasn't expecting. And I think just, yeah, I'm proud of myself that I never gave up. I kept working out. I kept watching games. I kept trying to get my mind going and thinking of how we could be better and how we could improve. I could improve myself and improve the team. And yeah, so just, I guess the resilience is something that I unlocked that I didn't know I had in me at that extent. When like you said, when shit's hitting the fan so bad. Yeah, I'm grateful that I got through it and it was the best result we could have hoped for. And I'm hoping that all of that experience will just make me stronger going forward. And I think I'll be different on the ice too. Like, I think I'll be so excited to be back playing and able to do what I love again, that like little things that used to bother me are going to be like, whatever, that's nothing. It'll be exciting to be back on the ice again.
Love it. Well, we are definitely excited to have you back on the ice. Thrilled that you agreed to talk with us for this, and thrilled to see you with Team Cameron next year. Very much looking forward to it. Thanks, Briane.
Awesome. No, thank you.